in the 1980s I enjoyed using Pentax cameras, but for some reason by the 90s I was on the whole using Canon cameras, and I don't think I was quite aware of what Pentax were doing. And the Pentax cameras I did come across occasionally, I don't know, I just wasn't really taken by. However, recently I thought I would have a go with some Pentax cameras from the 1990s. I had some issues in trying to get one that worked well. I bought a couple of MZ5s, which just didn't work. However, I did buy a MZ7, which I have here, and this worked beautifully. I think the problem on the MZ5 can be the motor for the mirror. And basically I think I've had two of these with motor mirror problems. However, let's talk about the positive, and let's talk about this MZ7. This camera came out in 1999 and was almost the last range of SLR film cameras. However, they did do a range called the IST range from about 2003 to about 2005. But this MZ, I think, is really nicely designed. Loading the film is very straightforward. Simply, it's DX coded, so we don't have to worry about ISO speeds. And this camera loaded very nicely. It takes, I think it's a C23 battery, which are quite easily available. We do have an on-off switch. Now, this is where the camera I found to be very interesting, the design of the top plate. Something I haven't really seen before is when we start the camera, or we get an illuminated dial. So if we go into a creative mode, we've got portrait, we've got landscape, we've got close-up, sport, night photography, and no flash, and that is all on illuminated. And where I said the camera is DX coded, it is. We do have an ISO override as well, so this is a really nice feature. We can actually have films that we can load ourselves that are not in the DX cassettes, and the camera will use those easily. So I must say I found that illuminated function really nice. We also have an automatic picture mode. Then we've got T for time, AV for aperture priority, manual as well. So what is interesting, I'm noticing that on manual AV and TV it's not actually lighting up there, but the automatic modes all do. We have some good information on the right hand side here. It tells us what mode we are in, and with the lens here we've made sure that this is a Pentax KA lens, so we make sure it's on A, and then we can select the shutter speed if we are in shutter speed priority, or if I'm in AV, then when we use this selector here, we are selecting the aperture. And in manual, obviously it goes to default, changing the shutter speed, and I think if we press the A aperture here, then that will then change the aperture. And the display is really nice, and the display is a little bit different. Nikon, Canon have all got the display at the bottom, which is a convention which I find good to read. Here we have the information actually on the left hand side, sorry, on the right hand side. So again, we've got our f-stop, we've got our shutter speed, and we've got a little meter as well, and we've got a plus and minus. So it's extremely clear and easy to read. Ergonomically, the camera fits in the hand well. It's a plastic body, but it feels quite substantial. We've also got override for the lens, so we can go into manual focusing. So, a pretty comprehensive camera. It also enables us to do bracketing, and on this particular model we have a data back, and as was very popular with the time, we've got a wide angle panoramic view as well. So, how was it to use? How sharp was that lens? I was delighted with these results. I went down to the Water Meadows in Dorchester. We had had a bit of a flood recently, and the camera performed really well. It's extremely sharp. I'm noticing nice tones. It metered well. It performed how it should. I would expect a camera of such a pedigree to be easy to use, to be sharp, to be efficient. What I really liked was the fact I had all the information easily at hand. The information was easier to find on the top and in the viewfinder than I had imagined it would have been. The camera actually gives you far more choices than some similar cameras of the same age. I don't know whether there is a difference in the build between the MZ7 and the MZ5. This version I've got seems to perform extremely well. I think there is a difference in the build quality. I was really pleased with this MZ7. If you find one, I think it's well worth giving it a try. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.